You commented? I'm responding. What is wrong with people? Nope, not gonna be able to do it. In this video, I will be discussing some of your comments, both positive and negative, as well as those in between, from comments on support, desires, hate, life abroad, and Panama. These are my perspectives. So there are two comments that fall under the category of you're running away or you should stay and help, and they are, so you'd rather run away than try to help. Bye, Felicia. Running away from it instead of helping your community will not solve anything. Okay, so there are always discussions around, like when you move abroad, are you running away from something? Are you running to something? I see it as living my own life, and I didn't want to live in the US anymore. And why do I have to sacrifice my happiness to fight? Who said I didn't fight before? Who said my whole life wasn't a struggle? And why do we always continuously have to put that pressure on ourselves? I don't think we always have to fight. Life is too short. I think we can make a change if we all stand up and say, no, I'm not paying taxes. No, I'm not paying for car insurance. No, I'm not paying for gas. There was this guy that was in my neighborhood with the paper and pen for citizens to go sign with an agreement. I'm not paying these high rent costs anymore. We all have to come together and make the change. I agree we all need to come together, but when is the last time the US did that? We're so divided right now. It's I don't even know what to say. I understand the point that you're trying to make. I just don't think I need to be there for that to happen. I don't see us coming together in my lifetime. I'd be really surprised. It would be great if we could. I just don't see it. And I don't want to be in the US waiting for that to happen when I could be living my best life somewhere else. I hope 20 million follow you to your paradise. Please go. I hope they follow me too. And I already left. Nice. Make room for the millions of people who want to be here, who love and appreciate this country. Me leaving is not going to make room for the millions that want to be there. I appreciated the United States for what it is, what it was, and how it helped me. Doesn't mean I have to stay. I'm going to put this statistic up, which shows how many Americans have already left and are living overseas. I love how many people say a 9-to-5 isn't for them, but then don't bother trying to explain a plausible alternative. Hilarious. Okay, so it's hard to give a plausible alternative without knowing your background. So a 9-to-5 was for me for many, many years. Plausible alternatives. People do a lot of things. They do consulting, they do YouTube, they teach, they open up restaurants, they start cookie businesses, they start tour companies. There are 1,000 alternatives. You just have to find what works for you and piece it all together. It could be one alternative, it could be 3. Piece it all together. Pension, YouTube, engineering consulting. There's 3 things that I do right now. Until I can get another pension when I'm 62 and Social Security. That wasn't the point of that comment. The point of that comment was I didn't have to be in the rat race anymore. And I found my way out. You have to find yours. Bye. Nobody misses you. Nobody cares. The lies you tell. People miss me. I miss them. And people care. You don't even know me. I wish more censored like you would leave and never come back. You might get your wish. You might get your wish. I wish more people like you would be happy for people that want to leave and find their peace and happiness. Y'all can leave me. I'm staying right here. Life isn't perfect here, but this country will help you when you need it. I lost everything and still bounced back twice. I already left you. No, I'm kidding. Not really. That's the beauty of this. It's your choice to stay. No one's saying everyone has to leave. These videos are really for people that want to leave or are on the fence and just need to hear different perspectives. That's impressive that you lost everything twice and bounced back. A lot of people wouldn't. So kudos to you. And even though you did lose everything and bounce back, you still don't have to stay. But like you said, it's your choice. So glad you're happy with it. So glad you're gone. Me too. So happy. I heard that before. When things don't go well there, then they come back here. So don't ever say never. Believe me, your situation will change for the worse. Where's the positivity in that? Believe me, things will change for the worse. Is it possible that things will change for the better? And let me be clear. I'm already working on other alternatives if Panama doesn't work out, but I doubt I'll ever have to use them. It's great to have a plan A, B, C, and D. So you think you're in a better place in Panama? Yes, I do. I am. That's the point of that video. That's the point of all of these videos. A lot of us feel like we're in a better place. And I don't know why that's so shocking for people or that people find it funny. Panama is a beautiful country with beautiful people. Yes, it has its problems, but every country does. What is wrong with people? Panama has nothing to offer. They use the US dollar and are completely under American control. Within a few years, she'll be begging to come back to America. Yeah, no. I will not be begging to come back to the US. If I have to go back to the US, it'll be kicking and screaming. You can believe that. Nope, not gonna be able to do it. Yo, just a thought, my blood pressure just went up. I obtained citizenship in Jamaica. I'm working on citizenship in other countries. The US is a last resort. LMAO, all these people leaving the United States over these problems. Watch them catch the same exact problems when they enter the new country. It's your behavior that's triggering these events. So my behavior is triggering racism. My behavior is triggering sexism. My behavior is triggering police brutality. My behavior is triggering mass shootings. My behavior is triggering loss of control over my body and my feminine rights. My behavior is triggering bad tasting food and food that, altered with chemicals and hormones. My behavior is triggering my happiness in a new country. Lady, I turned 18 in 1970. Just went ahead and enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. I was to be in the civil engineer and I was a security policeman based Defense Force. Found myself in Vietnam. I was injured in an accident and was sent back to the States for treatment. Found myself discharged in 1973 because of what happened in Vietnam. Even though the Department of Veteran Affairs tossed me under the bus, I never stopped loving my country. Goodbye, lady. Goodbye. You can love your country, it doesn't mean you have to stay in it. And I'm sorry to hear that you were thrown under the bus. That's what happens to a lot of our service members, and it's really sad and disgusting and despicable. I'm really, really sorry that happened to you. People want to leave America. On the other hand, people are risking their lives to get into the country to any means possible. To some people, America is a promised land on planet Earth heaven. Don't get me wrong. There are lots of opportunities in the United States of America, and the USA is better than a lot of countries. I'm not arguing that. The USA just wasn't for me. Not anymore. After my 46 years living there, I put in my time. I put in my sweat and tears, and I don't see why I had to continue doing that. There are a lot of people that get to the U.S. and realize it's not what they thought. A lot of people go to the U.S. and send money back home. They send money home to build a house for retirement, and then some just stay and love the United States of America. To each their own, and that's the beauty of the world. Migration is the only way humans have evolved over the centuries. I agree. And that's a very, very observant comment. We're not meant to stay in one place. Humans move around. I don't know why people think we're trees all of a sudden. What changed? All of the things that you're complaining about America, the same thing in Panama as well. No. So all the things I was complaining about. let's see. The healthcare system here is pretty good. I'm treated more like a human. The food is better, tastes like it's supposed to. A lot of people are healthier here. I said before, I've lost weight. Oh, the police are different here. Racism is different here. There is still racism here, it just presents itself differently. So yeah, no, it's not the same. Even the election process was different here, completely different. So I don't think it's the same. I will say there's an American influence here, but it's not the same. It's not America. It's the people from America that's the issue. What makes up a country? It's the people. So it's the people. The people make up America. Therefore, it's America. That's how I see it. Let me know in the comments, people, if I'm looking at this incorrectly. Please. Thank you. Can't compare the U.S. to other countries. We are unique among nations. As an example, if it weren't for the U.S., there wouldn't be a Panama Canal. It's not so much that the country is changing, the world is changing. Try to count your blessings when in the U.S. I'm happy where I live. There will always be challenges with people, however. Yes, the politicians driven by the electorate are, shall we say, outspoken. But wherever you go, you're going to find the good and the bad. Remember, freedom is not free. I agree. Freedom is not free. And I don't want to sound disrespectful for those who fought for our freedoms, but I'm also free to leave. That's part of the freedom that people fought for. So freedom is not free. Yes, the U.S. built the canal. I wholeheartedly agree, but they also turned it over. And the impact the U.S. had on Panama was both good and bad. Let me be clear, both good and bad. Yes, they built the canal, but with a lot of people from other countries. And they brought with them bigotry and Jim Crow practices. During the canal era, white people and Americans were paid higher than black people and those from the Caribbean and other countries. They called it the gold and silver roll. So yes, they built the canal, but they also laid the foundation for some racism here. The reality of a lot of what you mentioned is because we're bombarded today by social media and 24-hour cable opinion news channels. Everyone wants to outrage you. I'm 59 and that's not what I had growing up. I don't feel like everyone was pulling at me the second I woke up until I went to bed. Moving to another country, you can turn it off and tune out. You're no longer indoctrinated. You're more invested in serenity. Yes, and preach. Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that part. I have to read that part again. Moving to another country, you can turn it off and tune it out. You are no longer indoctrinated. You're more invested in serenity. Ooh. Yes. Just yes. Okay, so yes. But I am finding it a bit hard to tune it out just because it's so outrageous. So I'm not watching 24/7 news cycles. I'm picking and choosing what news I want to watch, but there is a beauty in being able to tune it out. Even if there were a division in politics here, because I'm not fluent in Spanish, it goes over my head. People next to me could be talking about it and I might get bits and pieces, but it's over my head and hey, whatever. It's not really pulling at you or as divisive in the US. And I just can't explain it, but it's so refreshing and I agree with you. Pregnancy tests are pretty routine prior to procedures. You should know that and plan ahead. Yes, they are pretty routine. I've had several before. And planning ahead. Okay, so this person is referring to my last colonoscopy procedure where I was pumped with IV fluids for over an hour so they can get me to take a pregnancy test, which never happened because I couldn't use the bathroom. The point of that comment was that my rights were being taken away and that the doctors were so concerned about being found guilty of the potential of inadvertently harming a pregnancy than me speaking the truth, saying I was not pregnant and that I wouldn't be able to take the pregnancy test because I knew my body. In that moment, I had no control over my body, and that's what I was complaining about, and that's what I was referring to. And that's another reason why I don't want to go back to the US. What a lot of people in this country don't want to admit is that the United States is a failed state, with all of the challenges and horrors that that status entails, and it's very sad indeed. Thank you for this video. I agree. I feel like a lot of people do realize it's failed, and they see an opportunity to maybe make it what they want it to be or what they think it should be. I also think a lot of people are just in denial. They're in denial of what's happening. They're in denial that this is even a possibility, but the writing is on the wall. It's on the wall. The next few years are really going to be treacherous. The next few years are really going to be ugly, in my opinion. It's sad. It's so sad to see this happen. The USA is one of the few countries that taxes you on nationality and not residency. So it's to your tax advantage to give up your American citizenship, or the government will tax you wherever you live. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. And a lot of people don't realize this. I still pay taxes. And even if I don't have income, I still have to file taxes every year for the rest of my life. I don't live in the US, but I'm supporting it. So yes, a lot of people have renounced their citizenship to avoid having to pay taxes for the rest of their life to a country that they no longer live in. But it's dangerous in a lot of countries outside the US. Yes, it is. But the US is quite dangerous. And to be honest, there are a lot of countries that are safer than the US. I feel safer in Panama. I'm not ducking every time a car backfires. I'm not looking over my shoulder to see if someone's carrying a gun. I'm not concerned about mass shootings if I go to a church, the grocery store, or a movie theater. I might show statistics of how dangerous the US is compared to some other countries. I think people will be surprised at our ranking. I'll see if I can find it. The US is like a toxic family. When you question the status quo, the toxic family gets angry. It's like, I'll dare you to try to make things better for all of us, which is funny because we're literally called the United States of America. Now I've said this. I felt like I was leaving a lot of toxicity and, for lack of a better word, like an abusive relationship. The US is so toxic. I think it has been, though. And I think I was in denial, or we were in denial. We thought it got better, but it kind of just was like stuffed down, and it was just allowed to come back out over the last few years. And if something's toxic, what do? You leave it, or you get medicine. I found my medicine in Panama. Used to be, no. America is what it's always been. The only difference is more people are beginning to realize the farce that it's always been. Yeah, I agree. I mentioned this in the previous comment. I think it's always been there, and it's just kind of resurfacing. And it's coming out in like rare form. It's like people are scrambling and plotting. You asked what happened to America? It never was. It's always been divided. The ethical reporting. Do you think it ever was really ethical reporting? Just the illusion of unbiased reporting. I'm somewhat older than yourself, and I've known this about America for many, many years. America will soon have to face its reckoning of its past deeds and falsities, lies. More and more people are waking up to this grand illusion. Like yourself, many are leaving for greener pastures, and some can't leave, and some will have to deal with America's second civil war. Good that you left before the fall. Yeah, no, thank you. I agree with a lot of this, and I am very glad that I left when I did. I didn't see all of this coming. I have some friends that did, but I just didn't see all of this coming. I like the fact that you said unbiased reporting, and yes, I think that's what's missing. There are some news outlets that are a bit more unbiased, but That's what's missing in our news today. The new American dream, leaving the USA. Yeah, that's what's happening. I completely agree with you. I left the USA 10 years ago to live with my wife in Vietnam. It's the best and smartest thing I ever did. It's a communist country, but there is far more real liberty here than in America. Food is cheap and delicious, taxes are so low as to be hardly noticeable, and medical care is low cost and 100% hassle-free. I'm forever grateful to Vietnam for a happy life. Oh, I'm so happy for you. That warms my heart. And I feel the same way. Like I'm so grateful for Panama for giving me this opportunity just to be happy, to truly be happy and to truly be at peace. I'm glad you also mentioned that because a lot of people move and they have these expectations like they're owed something. We're not owed anything. It's a privilege to be able to be granted residency in another country, and it's glad to hear that you appreciate it. I left the USA in 2008 for Germany and never looked back. Look, a lot of us are not looking back. And if we do look back, it's not to go back. It's to look back like, ugh. Or, oh, what's happening? Or, oh gosh, I feel so bad. Or, oh, I'm just so happy I'm not there anymore. America is done. It's no saving that place. It really feels that way. I don't know if it'll be saved in my lifetime. I do have hope that it can be saved. I really do. It's bad. Americans can live like kings overseas. I'm all for it. Look, that money goes a lot further. It can go a lot further. And I wouldn't have this lifestyle in the US. I wouldn't have these views in the US. And I would still be working if I were in the US. Thank you for this perspective, and I couldn't agree more. I was fortunate enough to move away from the US 3 years ago, and I've never been happier. I left 24 years, never again. Peace. I left and retired to Asia last year and would never return except to visit. I agree with all of these, and I'm so happy you guys are saying this. I don't even really want to go back to the USA to visit. I'm actually nervous about it. That should say a lot to some of the viewers that are on the fence. I am nervous about returning to the US. I just don't want to, and I've been putting it off, but I at least have to make one more trip. I started living in Thailand 4 years ago. Americans who have moved away say similar things as you, and I agree. However, you said one thing in particular I haven't heard before in a video, but it perfectly describes my situation as well. When I do briefly return to the US, I, just as you said, am just waiting to leave again. You just feel it instantly. So at first I thought this was just in my head the last time I went back to the US. It was immediately when I landed and got off the plane and saw Border Patrol and whoever just standing there just looking mean and intimidating. It's not a welcoming feeling as soon as you land in a country. It's not welcoming, and it's just a reminder of the stress that was felt there. I left the USA 12 years ago with no plan to return. My life has been so much better living in many countries. Yes, I'm so happy for you. 12 years, that's awesome. This comment kind of made me think so many people want to go to America for a better life. Why is it that Americans think that you can't find a better life in another country? It goes both ways. It goes both ways. The reasons for leaving might be different, but that finding happiness and better opportunities goes both ways. Thank you so much for this perspective, and I couldn't agree more. I was fortunate enough to move away from the US 3 years ago, and I've never been happier. Yay! I'm going on my 3rd year. So it's 2 years? How many years ago? I left 2 years ago, so I'm going on to year 3. Isn't it amazing? It goes by so quickly. Left the US 10 years ago for Costa Rica. It was great at first, but then as more and more gringos moved there, it became like the States. I got tired of all the bickering and moved to Nicaragua 5 years ago. I love it here. You're right. The food without all the chemicals is so much better. People are happier here even though they are poor. Several I've known have gone to the US to work illegally. After about 2 years, they come back and tell me I was right about the US. It's not a good place to live and it's dangerous. Or they need medical care and couldn't get it. Here, medical care is free. So this comment, I can relate to this comment. Well, I can partially relate to this comment, so I'm glad that you said all of this. There are certain parts of Panama that I could never live in because of the type of Americans that live there. And I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of English speakers, and I don't want to always have to be reminded about the US. I left the US for a reason, and I feel like a lot of people that are moving are still bringing it with them. That's their prerogative. That's just not how I want to live, and I don't want to be surrounded by that. So there are certain expat communities I just would never live in, just for my own sanity. I'm retired and live in Panama. I've been here since 2009. I live in the countryside. I also do not intend to return to the US. You look so young. Thank you. But I'm not. I kind of sometimes look younger than I am, but that's slowly fading. It's hard for young people to make a living in Panama. Real hard. Not everyone can be a successful YouTuber. Okay, I'm going to just pause right here for a second. I'm not a successful YouTuber. I think people assume you make a lot more money on YouTube than you actually do. So in the beginning, I wasn't even getting paid every month. Now it's starting to be more consistent, but I cannot support myself off of YouTube at this point in time. I did fine because I'm retired and live on a pension. Young people do not do well here in Panama financially in most cases. Do you have family here? Are you married to a Panamanian? Are you independently wealthy? Do you own a successful business? Those are valid reasons for living in Panama for a young person. If you're just here because you're sick of the US, your reasons for being in Panama are probably flawed. You'll regret it later. I understand that things are messed up in the US. I understand this well. However, you have better opportunities in the US. Opportunity in Panama is very low. You have to completely change your lifestyle in order to exist in Panama. Low wages, long hours riding public transportation, poor housing quality. It's no life for a young person if you have other opportunities. So there was a lot packed into this one. I actually don't know if I have family here. I'm not living with family. I understand why you said that. When my grandmother left, I think she left at 16. I'm the first family member to come back that I'm aware of. So I don't know if I have family here. I am semi-retired, so I do have a pension. I have a consulting gig in the United States, and I have some YouTube money. Not a lot. It's really not a lot, but I have some. So that's how I'm supporting myself. I agree with you. The wages here are low, and it's a lot harder than people think. It's easier living here if you have money coming in from the US or another country. I wholeheartedly agree, and thank you for sharing that. Wow, great video. I'm African American and my wife is from the Philippines. I've often thought about leaving the US and retiring in the Philippines. I never knew how wonderful it feels to get away from everything that's wrong here in the US. While I was there in the Philippines, I felt so alive, as if a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I was treated with respect, and no one cared about the color of my skin. It was so refreshing just to be free all of the day-to-day mental strain that I had to face living in the land of the free, home of the brave. Again, thank you for this great video. I've got to share this video with my wife. I'm sure she'll just love it. Oh, thank you for that. Did she love the video? Yeah, I agree. I've said I feel like I'm treated more like a human here. And I didn't realize how much I was not treated like a human in the US. And yeah, a burden has been lifted off your shoulder, and mine as well. More burdens than I realized I was carrying. Great video, and I agree 100% with you. Things are getting out of hand here in the US, from homelessness to mass shootings and political views. I've been wanting to move abroad for years, but it's difficult to make it happen when you have a steady income and your spouse is not on the same page as you. I've been feeling very disconnected with this place that I've called home for over 20 years because of this. I just hope that we can make something work out as a family. For now, I'm just going with the flow and hoping to move out of the US ASAP. Yeah, that's hard. My friends over at H&D Abroad, they did a video on how to move, or talking to your spouse about moving when they don't want to. It's hard to convince a spouse. Leaving the US is not for everybody, and it can be scary, and some people are just comfortable there and happy there. If you can just make up a backup plan or do research or have things kind of in place, I think that'll help and maybe make you feel a bit better. And then when you guys are ready to pull the trigger, you can. Even in my small South France town, there is more and more United Statesians with their kids leaving that failed country. And the kids don't seem to have any will to go back to their parents' country. Yep, it's a failed country. And most people, once they leave, they don't want to go back. I really liked Panama while there for a month. My concern is if too many Americans move there, it'll become another mini America. I feel like there are already places that are like not places, like little communities that are already like a mini America. But it's too large of a country for that to happen, so I wouldn't worry about that. I'm glad people are actually renouncing their citizenship instead of just complaining. So for clarification, I have not renounced my citizenship. That's a really, really hard decision, but I have not renounced it. I just have permanent residency in Panama and dual citizenship in Jamaica. Yes, 100, 100, 100. Make like Tina Turner and bounce. Go where you're loved and your money goes further. I think people forget how many celebrities actually live overseas, how many have renounced their citizenship, and how many are just living the life that they choose to live. So I agree. Go where you're treated better. Good for you. I hope that you find peace and utopia. So thank you for wishing me peace in my utopia. I found it, and it's been really enlightening, and I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm just enjoying the tranquility and as you said, the peace, the newfound peace that I'm finding. It's refreshing, and I'm excited to see what else I can find out about myself sitting in this peace. Our country is an embarrassment. So for our country, it is an embarrassment. I agree. I was embarrassed years ago. I was actually embarrassed two elections ago. I remember I think it was in Sri Lanka, and I was there for New Year's, and people were coming up to me like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I can't believe the US did this. What's happening over there? And it was really, really embarrassing. Just the bickering. I don't know how we got here. I really don't know how we got here. I think Americans would be surprised at how the world views them. Thank you for this. I can't even tell you how many videos that I've seen where Black people have left and not looking to come back here to America. Not looking to keep running the rat race, not looking to keep up, like you said, with the Joneses. However, wherever they have moved to, they look much more healthier, they have naturally lost weight, and they look worried-free. Now, I know that's the sign this is for me to leave this place. I'm done. I don't know if I can keep going on here. What you have shown and promoted on your channel is amazing. I hope people will take heed to understand why it's a real reason to truly leave this place. Everything is a lie. We keep putting up with the facade that we are the world's best, and we're not. It's more like a dumping ground coming to effect as a third world country. Thank you once again for this video on explaining to us why you've left here. So you're welcome. Just to clarify, those aren't the reasons why I left. I had always wanted to live in another country, and I just felt like it was time. I did feel like the US was changing, and I didn't like the changes, but the primary reason was I've always wanted to live in another country. Now, those are the reasons why I never want to go back, and I agree. So I have friends that have told me that I look like Benjamin Buttons, that I'm aging backwards, that I looked more relaxed and happier and carefree. And I feel like I'm aging, but I'm not as stressed. And I think it's just showing up. It's showing up on my face. It's showing up in my body. And like you said, I've lost a lot of weight. Now, I changed my diet because my sugar and cholesterol was high. So I changed what I was eating, but I've lost a lot of weight, like a lot. And I wasn't even on a diet, and I hadn't planned to. So moving abroad has just done so much for my health, mentally, like spiritually, and just I'm at peace. Follow your heart. Your intuition will lead you to find your ideal place. Yes, follow your heart. I don't understand why so many people were like mad that I followed my heart and my desires. Like, why wouldn't people want me to be happy? But they didn't. So thank you for that. I agree that the US is not what it used to be, and it's getting harder to live here every year. I'm glad that you found your peace by moving from the US. My brother will retire in Europe next year. I'm still searching where I want to go. It's good to know there's so many who have successfully made this change. Yes, and I'm going to piggyback off of the last video. People are like, why are you talking about this? Nobody cares. People do care. We need to see that people are thriving in another country and that they can do it too. It's like you're leading by example. Like, I did it. I survived. I'm happy. What's holding you back? Now, everyone's situation is different. Some people move abroad and it was a mistake for them, but I think it's worth the chance. Staying in the US for me was not worth any chance. Just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the sacrifice. I like it. People leaving the country that they're not happy living in. I like it. People finding places where they fit in and are accepted. I like it. People living the poor life in America and live where they can get richer. I like it. Denounce America and never return for any reason ever. I agree 99.99% that people should live where they want and where they are happy to live. I also agree 99.99% that people should not be trapped to live unhappily in a country that you hate. Hence, move. You're not a tree. I like it. People living so much better in Panama. Don't disappoint and complain about your choices. I like it too. Yeah, I think this is a point. People should be able to do what they want to do that makes them happy. Why are the haters like this? Why do the miserable want to keep... Oh, it's the crabs. It's the crabs. So I'll put this as... I'll put this as... And to explain a positive... Oh my gosh. And I'm recording this while sick, y'all. It's hard to stay before when things don't seem to go well. Then there they come back here. Okay, I see it. Okay. Is this on? Testing. Okay. That would have been bad. Okay. No, I keep checking my hair because the last video. Alfalfa. Pregnancy tests are pretty routine. It's just resurfacing. Hiring in the Philippines. The day to mental. Oh, okay. I can read. I promise you I can read. So from... I really like Panama while... Try this again. That we are the best. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had friends that have told me like I look like... Here we go again. Oh, I'm done.